Hello, me lovelies. Hope you didn't hear me coughing there. Clearing my little throat. So just wait for a few people to come in. Hello, Kelsey. Hello, Julius. So that's Cynthia one. I don't know if she's even here or not. Oh, she's on the razzle. Most probably on the razzle by now. On the tiles. Yes. Yes. You can imagine it. So are you, Kelsey, darling? How's everyone doing? Are you, Harry? So people are okay. I've got a good little quiz coming up today. As I'm going to be making this a feature. So how are you doing, Julie's? I mean, take all bleeding week answering me like. How are you doing, Julie's, darling? Are you mad? So do you feel relieved not to have, a certain person here, leading you into bad ways? Do you feel, a bit of relief? I mean, I'm not naming names. I mean, I wouldn't put Cindy on the spot like that, but I wouldn't name any names. I'm not that type of person. I'm not that type of person. She's on the tiles, isn't she? Hello, Denise. Yeah, you see this. It's told you. It's told you. As you know, right now. So anyway, should we start off with a bit of little drama that's going on? Should we talk about the drama, shall we? Yes, it's always good to get a little bit of drama to start it off, isn't it? Hey. So anyway, of course, Decker Heggy's been found out. Joey has released the voicemails of Decker, and straight away you pick up on the fact that there was the mental health ambassador who's being online to help people with mental health and talk about mental health issues, and he's planning with Joey, or asking Joey, to buy loads of them and sell them on the streets. Prescription drugs, that is. Now, the problem with that is that you're going to create addicts. The drugs he was talking about are highly addictive, as far as I know, unless someone else can tell me different. They're highly addictive prescription drugs. And also, what if someone decided they'd had enough? They were an addict and they'd had enough of walking this planet. How easy it would be. So this is the mental health ambassador. So he's not too pleased that's got out. Yet another thing showing up Deck Heggie for being the calm man that he is. And also, he's trying to make out now he was high as a kite when he was leaving these messages. I'm sorry, as high as a kite you get, you're not going to turn around, and say something that isn't already in your head. What do they always say about someone that's drunk, eh? That's when you hear the truth coming out of the mouth when they're drunk, because their mouth is unhinged and unlocked, sorry. So he was planning all that. That's what he wanted to do. This is the ambassador for mental health for men. Just every time something comes out, something new comes out, doesn't it? I know that fake PP in the chat. Where is he? I can't see him. Can anyone see that fake PP? There's a fake PP in the chat somewhere, I'm being told. I can't tell which one it is. I think it's a clone account. Anyway. Well, this is it. It's not just actually. There's no way you don't say things. You wouldn't come up with that. He didn't sound like he was high to me on the phone when he was talking to him. He wasn't saying his words. He was as clear as a bleeding bell. And when you take, or anyone does, I mean, I've never had them, but if anyone takes things like that, soporifics they are, aren't they? If I know, someone will have to correct me because I'm not sure, but they sound like the soporific drugs that they help you go to sleep. If you're taking them, people say, they're slurring the words and everything. They can't. That's what you get from them. That's how in the police we used to know someone had taken drugs when they call into a station or taken no prescription drugs because it starts learning the words. And you can see the sort of like zone and they're ready to zone right out. So it'll be straight onto the paramedics to get them checked out and if they needed to be sent to hospital. Just reading a few of the things, the comments. But this you wouldn't be able to talk like you did, but good on Joey for releasing them because they needed releasing. This has shown what he's really like. I've never been under any. Well, at one time I did sit on the fence with Decker, but then over the thing, I quickly suddenly realised that there was something to what Humble Dry was saying about him. No, he wasn't high. But this is what I mean, Gillies. This is the games he's playing with his subs. And you'll get them this. I wonder what Tony, Big Tony, the ass monkey Kel Surprise is going to be saying now. He'll stick right by him and ignore that. Tell you what, once I buy a diamond ring and offer Declan out for a meal because it looks, I don't know, I've never known a straight man to act like that to another man. Never have. I know that they can be grow up and support each other, but it's just really too much about that Big Tony fella. I think he's in for a disappointment because I don't think there is anything in Decker but someone that's attracted to the ladies. I think it's very much ladies and he wouldn't bother going with anything else, even if he couldn't get anything else. I think what it is, Kelsey, it sounds odd, but that he wouldn't know that. I think he can be intelligent but stupid at the same time. What we used to say about narcissists, right? And I remember in the police, you say this. They used to love it when they get a suspect who was a narcissist. And the reason they loved them was because narcissists always grossly overestimate their own abilities to fool others and to con others and the power over others. That's what makes them narcissists. And they'd slip up. They'd eventually call their own gaff because they'd say something or do something because they were too confident in their own abilities. You'll always get a narcissist will be found out and brought to trial and banged up in the end because they always overestimate their own abilities over others. And I think what it is with Decker, he doesn't stop to think that anyone would be intelligent enough, even though it's happened again and again and again, to call this bluff, that way. And as I always say, Kels, this is what I can't understand about people. Are you, Johnny? One golden rule people to learn in life. Now, I think this is common sense. I didn't have to be told this by anyone. Of course, in my day, there was no such thing. When I was younger growing up, there was no such thing as the internet. That was a way off thing that no one could have predicted. But never, ever, ever say it to anyone unless you're willing for that to go out into the public. I've spoken to people behind the scenes, which I have a couple of people on YouTube I talk to behind the scenes. But I never say it to them if I think, I don't want that ever getting out. And it's not that I'm saying, I don't trust you. It's just I don't see why anyone needs to put stuff to someone else that they don't want getting out there. We all have things that we don't want being spread out or getting into the public. Well, to me, that means keeping it to yourself. If you have an opinion of someone, or I remember this happened a while ago. Perfect example, there's a woman, Angela Power Disney, who I had to block because she went just too far one day in one of her insults. But she could be okay, but she's an old drunk, and like drunks do, they start saying things. But she said one thing that was too was really too much for me to handle, so I blocked her and swore I'd never speak to her again. But what she did, and this is interesting, people will come to me, oh, when I was talking to, do you know what she said about you? Shall I tell you what she said about you? This is what, oh yeah, that was at the American podcast. I'll tell you what Angela Howard Disney was saying and all this. And it was like, I know what she's saying. She used to say it to me in messages. She'd say to me, that's one thing about it. She never went round. If she went round saying it about anyone, she'd have said it to the person as well. So there was no shock there. So she could definitely be held to ransom. And that's what I mean. If you don't want something getting out, don't say it. Keep it yourself. Or say it, but say it on the understanding that you won't be totally embarrassed or ashamed if it gets out. And that's the way to be. Sean, thanks for that. Yeah, I'll unblock you. What it is, I didn't know which way to take your video. I didn't know whether it was I do know actually why I blocked you. Do you know the account? You didn't only copy me into it. You copied the one that's got my real name. That account you copied, I don't know whether you know this. Do you know who that is behind that account? Because it's not me. But do you know who that person is behind that account? The account with my name on it. Because you copied two people. You copied me and the other one. Well, what have you been doing? Big Billy. Now, just let's see what Sean, I'll tell you now, I'll unblock your eyes. Just, you don't know, I found your video a bit off because it was using, what you call it? It was using Quentin Crisp. Not that I wouldn't be offended to be put on an equal footing with Quentin Crisp because he was such a brave, stoic man. He was. But I didn't know. But when I saw that name in that other account, I thought, wait a minute, I'm being attacked here. So that's why I blocked you. But if you didn't know, that person is someone, Jockney knows who I'm talking about, I won't mention his name, that stalked me and caused a lot of hate to me when my dog passed away. So you don't have to get rid of your video. Keep your video up there. When I come off here, I'll unblock your main account. Just get rid of that other account off it. Untag that other one. You can keep me. That's all you've got to do when you go into your thing. Just get rid of that person because that was someone that was stalking me, bad style. And that's why I thought I didn't know whether you were working alongside them. But yeah, video's fine. That, you know, I can laugh at myself. Don't worry, I can laugh at myself. And as I say, to be compared with the great Quentin Crisp, what a brave man he was, I must say. But I'll sort that out later, Sean, don't worry. When I get off here, I'll unblock. It's just if I start going from thing to Ask Julie's, will tell you. If I start going from screen to screen and do multiple things, I tend to accidentally block people doing that. Julie's. Do you remember that? Oh, God. I've gone and blocked. He's most only been naughty. This is what they do. They come on, make a naughty bleeding comment, Billy. Don't you? What have you done, Billy? What have you done? You've done something, Billy, haven't you? Yeah, he's been doing something naughty. You can tell, can't you? I reckon. I will just say that Jim Smith put him up to it. That's an easy way to get out of it, isn't it, Billy? Jim Smith put you up to it. Yeah. That was terrible. It's like, oh, God, I've gone and blocked your knees by mistake. Big panic on. Anyway, so Yeah, so that's all been going on, hasn't it? And what else has been happening? Oh, yeah, well, good. Pop-up pirates in the shed is accusing Humble of being into SRA. That's the thing, devil people, isn't it? Oh, that's a nasty one. I haven't looked into it. I don't know the full allegations or anything like that, but that's not a nice thing to say about someone. But again, they're both in a terrible battle of words, aren't they? But anyway, what I'll do, I'll get the quiz out the way. Then, if someone wants to come on for a quick chitty chatty natter, you can. Here we are. Got some good ones today. Some easy ones, some harder ones. Number one. Which video game franchise released the taglines World at War and Black Ops? Which video game franchise released the taglines World at War and Black Ops? That's it, Kelsey. Call of Duty. Call of Duty. Name the coffee shop in Friends. In the series Friends, name the coffee shop. Sounds so cool, doesn't it? Coffee shop. We don't have them in the UK, do we? Or the most probably in London they do. They have everything in London. That's it. Central Park, yeah. Central Park. Brilliant, Julie. Brilliant, Lucy. Brilliant, Kelsey. Brilliant, Mark. Yes, Central Park. Remember, years ago, it used to be really cool in London because they had cheese shops, and of course, with the Italian side of my heritage, cheese is a big part of the diet. Love cheese. And it was so cool having cheese shops. And when I came back up to Liverpool, I so missed it. Now, not far from where I live, a few years back, a cheese shop opened, and it was like, wow, we never had cheese shops in Liverpool in the past. Never. I mean, you don't see many of them now. They're very, very rare to find them. But London just had everything. Cheese shops. Oh, it's wonderful. You could always get something. If you needed something, you could always get it down in London. That was the good thing about it. What is the capital of New Zealand? What is the capital of New Zealand? And don't say N. Oh, Christ, I'm just saying. You're right, Tegon. I'm stupid. Costa and all them are bleeding coffee shops, aren't they? Honest to God. Do you know what I'm thinking of when I say coffee shop? Idiot. I'm thinking where you go in and buy coffee and nothing else but coffee. I mean, coffee to take home with you. Oh, God, I'm such an idiot. There's loads of them. That's because I never drink or eat out. I don't like drinking or eating out. So I've just realised now, bleeding, of course, there's coffee shops in the UK. Right, so what? Hey, well, yeah, here we go. You got it. Wellington, Jockney, Selkie. Yeah, Wellington is the capital of New Zealand. Hey, well, this is a good one for any into art. See if anyone knows this, because I heard this years ago of someone, and I don't know if it's common knowledge that he did it. Which surrealist artist, very famous surrealist artist, claimed to be contacted by aliens through his mustache? He had a distinctive mustache, and he used to claim when the ends of it stuck up in the air, he was getting contacted by aliens. He was funny, real entertainer. He was someone that made being artist and entertainment as well, a character. That's it, Salvador Dali. Julie's taking that's right. If you see his moustache, it will stick straight up at times, the ends of it, and you say, "Oh, that's the aliens contacting me." Now, what nationality was Salvador? What nationality was Salvador? That's it, Spanish, spooky. Oh, see, it's Castilian. He was a Castilian. We had this for all you football lovers out there. Which football club plays from Loftus Road? Which football club plays from Loftus Road? That's right, Jockney. That's right, Billy. Queen's Park Rangers. What band was Harry Styles in before going solo? Harry Styles. Now that's right, Jim. What band was Harry Styles in before going solo? That's it, Spooky. That's it, Kelsey. That's it, Fake PP. That's did someone got it? Yeah, Billy, Big Billy, David. Oh, everyone got that. Here we go. Here's one. This is. I hate mentioning this one's name because she stole my look in the 80s. She did. She stole my look. In what decade was Madonna born? In what decade was Madonna born? Who stole my look in the 80s? 50s, yes, 50s. Yeah, and people think I'm joking. Now, I don't know whether she stole my look or it was just a coincidence, but in the 80s, right? Remember when she had the blonde curly hair? Not curly, but she had the blonde waved hair. And looked at it, she had it, wore it in Vogue. When she had her hair like she was in the video for Vogue. But I can tell you now, I was in London at the time, paid a lot of money to have my hair styled in a way, because then it was all gender bent and everything, don't forget. So hairstyles could be feminine, could be masculine, whatever you wanted. And I got this peroxide blonde, well, as close as peroxide that an auburn person could get, because of course you'll always have yellow in there if you're auburn haired. And I had exactly that cut, right? And it was supposed to be unique to me. And then suddenly Madonna's going around with it. But I think I'm sort of like bigging myself up thinking that she actually saw me. I think I am sort of like deluding myself that she saw me and copied it. But yeah, exactly that hairstyle I had. I wasn't pleased because I spent a lot of money on that because it was supposed to be a one-off hairstyle I got. And she had exactly the same bleeding one. I think it was a bit of a coincidence though. No, Julie's, don't argue with me. Julie's is there now saying, no, Anne, she did see you. She was a fan of yours and thought if she copied you, Anne, she'd be, should be noticeable. Yes, yes. I wouldn't say that about myself, Julie's. I'll leave you to say it. Anyway, so here we go. What sporting event is held at Silverstone? What sporting event is held at Silverstone? That's it, the Grand Prix. Oh, Julie's driving. You can tell you're a lady who likes lady things, don't you? Driving. Driving. Oh God, that's like saying that the FA Cup is kicking a ball around. Oh yeah, the Grand Prix. Now, here we are, another sports one. Where is the US Masters golf tournament held? Where is the US Masters golf tournament held? Yeah, it's in the USA, Jim, and it's in Georgia. Yeah, close, Billy, close. You've just got the spelling a bit out, but I'll give it to you. It's Augusta National Golf Club in Georgia. Augusta National Golf Club in Georgia. Here we are. Here's one. That's it, Sean. This is one for those who like the geography. In which county is Hartlepool located? The absolute beautiful Hartlepool. Where is it located? So Hartlepool is in which county? That's it, spooky. Jim Smith, England. Of course, it's bleeding. England's not a county, is it? Right. Yeah, County Durham. Here we go. Here's one of my favourite creatures. I love them. How many hearts does an octopus have? And when I say I love them, I don't mean eating them. I love them. I think it's awful cruel to eat them because they're extremely intelligent. But I don't like eating any animal, but they're very, very intelligent. How many hearts does an octopus have? Not 8. Nearly Jules. Nearly Seki. Close to it. Way off Lucius. How many hearts does an octopus have? That's it, Kelsey Spooky. 3. And fake PP is just being silly, isn't he? Yeah, 3. Oh, I love octopus. I've actually got beautiful pendants and a bracelets and ring of coconut octopuses. And that now, anyone that says octopi, I'm going to tell you off. It's not octopi, it's octopuses. There's no such word as octopi, it's octopuses. So, because people think they're being octopi. It's like, no, it's octopuses, dear. But very intelligent. So intelligent they are. And people eat them. Oh, God. I couldn't eat one because it had anything like that. I mean, they're ugly, aren't they? I mean, I love them and all that, but I don't know anyone looks at that and thinks, I'd like to eat that. It's just not a pretty looking animal, is it? Some people reckon they're actually aliens. Here we are. This one surprised me. Oh no, it's not this one that surprised me. It's another one further down, so it shocked me. Yeah, what percentage of our solar system, getting space ones now, what percentage of our solar system does the sun take up? So if you got our solar system, the whole mass of our solar system, and put it into 100%, how many percentage does the sun take up? No, not 2%, not 4. I mean, I'd get surprised by it. Everyone is not even close. I remember the sun is pretty huge compared to the rest of us. I mean, it's small. It's a small sun compared to other suns, but it's compared to the planet, it's big. And you've got also, Judith, you're nearly there. You've got you've got judged by the fact that we've got three gas giants, which way heavier than the Earth, makes more of a that's a bigger percentage of density than them. Here we are. You're nearly there, Jim. Need to go up a bit more. 90% sounds a lot. It's not enough. Need to go up some more, Jockney, and need to go up some more. Sure. That's actually 99%, believe it or not. The sun makes up for 99% of the total mass of the solar system. And I say that's because, don't forget, we've got three gas giants. They may be big, but they don't even weigh as much as us. The Earth. We're the heaviest planet, but the sun takes up the most. Now, so it's 99. Here we go. How long? This will show you how big the solar system is. With the speed that our spacecraft go at the moment, we can get them to go. How long would it take a spacecraft to reach Pluto? Which there's always this argument: is Pluto a planet or not? 1 minute it's a planet, next minute it's not a planet, is it? So, how long does it take? Would it take a spacecraft that left Earth to arrive at Pluto? So if you got your spaceship now and you start traveling to Pluto, no, not 100 years, Jockney. T-gun, you're close to it. You're only 6 months out. 6 months out. So I'm going to give this to T-gun. It's actually 9.5 years it would take. Now don't stop traveling. That shows you. See, people don't really. A lot of people don't really understand just how huge the solar system is, and yet we're tiny compared to other places out there. But that's how big it is. That's how long it would take you. Long time. Hey, well, this is the one that shocked me. Must admit, I went, oh my God, I didn't know that. If you could teleport a human being 1 billion atoms at a time, so if you could teleport yourself 1 billion atoms a second, so 1 billion of your atoms were being teleported a second, how long would it take for your complete body to be teleported? If it was 1 billion atoms a second, how long would it take your whole body to teleport? So 1 billion atoms a second. Oh, way off, Jockney. Not way off. I got a shock with this. Don't think of hours. Give you a clue, you have to think in years, not hours. Do not think years. No, do you know what? So if you think, this one circus put 80 million years, right? That doesn't even touch it. You'd hardly be over there in 80 million years. Your big toe would most probably be over there. Here, I'll give you the answer. It's shocking. 200 billion years it would take. If you transported a billion atoms of yourself a second, it would take you 200 billion years. Billion, not million. Billion. So that was a shock, wasn't it? So that tells you how many atoms we have in our body. That's a hell of a lot, hell of a lot of atoms in our body. For some reason, I stopped the quiz there. I thought it would have gone on longer. See, you're all too intelligent. You're answering me questions too quick. So you're all very, very intelligent. That's the thing. Yeah, when you look at some things, you think, my God, it suddenly makes you realize, doesn't it, just how complicated and complex things are when you suddenly rationalize it like that. Hey, well, here's one that I'll ask off the top of my head. If you wanted to make a black hole out of the Earth, what size would you have to reduce it to? So to make a black hole out of the Earth, what size would it have to be reduced to? And think of for fruit. What fruit would it have to be reduced to the size of? So it would have to be small. Yeah, come on, ask a question, Spooky. Yep, a grape, Kelsey. That's how much you'd have to concentrate the Earth, a grape, before it would become a black hole. Titchy witchy little black hole. Oh, thanks, Sean. So yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? I love this idea that they're looking into that big holes created the universe. And they keep on creating and keep on creating and keep on creating and cremating. So anyway, so I'll put it just in case anyone wants to call on for a quick chat, as you usually keep it going for an hour, don't I? Then I get bored with it. If not, I'll just carry on talking. I'll carry on entertainment, the matches. Oh, thanks for that, COVID. I thought I put that there because I didn't want to. I didn't want to fall out with you. That's why I put it there. It's just that I know Humble's been saying things, but everything Humble says, I don't agree with, and I certainly don't get involved in. And he knows that a lot of what he says, I don't get involved in. A lot of it, I don't even understand where it's come from or going on about. So, thanks for that, COVID. The Daleks. Do you know, everyone used to be scared of the Daleks, didn't they? But you know the ones that scared me when I was a kid? Do you remember the cyborgs? Oh, I didn't like them. I didn't mind the Daleks. The cyborgs frightened me as a kid. Johnny Craddock. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Oh, thanks for that, COVID. Because I say, I was shocked by it, but I knew that if I put something there, hopefully it would resolve the situation. Yeah, spooky Johnny Craddock. If anyone doesn't know who he was the husband of Fanny Craddock, who I actually met as a child because my papa was working on the show. No, her TV show, used to work behind the scenes on that. And I met him in there, but I didn't really speak to him. Spoke to her a few times, and she was very. She wasn't. People painted this horrible ogre. I suppose she could have been, but I didn't see that part of her. I didn't see her as being nasty. She was just just was an old lady to me as a kid. when I spoke to her, but she was all right. I never, she wasn't this big horrible ogre that they make out she is. But yet there's one thing I've spoken this about this months ago. I think it's on another video. They were filming one of her cooking shows, and I was talking to this producer. I don't know whether he's a producer or what he was, but this fellow was talking to me because when things like this happened, I'd stand and be quiet. I couldn't talk to him when he was taking a long gone one of Papa's work days because no one else could look after me that day. And all that I can remember is that nothing was being said then, and nothing was making me feel uncomfortable. So I don't know whether I'm imagining this as I've got older and learned more about life. But I remember her marching over, and I say she'd always been nice. She wasn't overly nice. She wasn't horrible. She wasn't one of them. She was just an old lady to me. But she determinedly stamped over, let's put it that way. And I could see her staring at this fella. And she put her hand out right to me, but literally thrust her arm out and said, "Come with me." So, like a headmistress, me being the dutiful, obedient child, when an adult said to do something, I did it, never questioned it. So I went with her. And she said, "Now, you stop, don't go." I think it was, remember that, something like, "You don't go getting in the way or annoying people or anything like that." But she kept her eyes on the fella. And as I got older, it always looked strange to me how she was giving him death glares. I mean, death stare she was giving him. And I wonder if she thought, but in retrospect, right, there's no way. I doubt anyone would have tried getting on with me if they were that way inclined, any adults, when I was a child with my papa about. I mean, my papa was quite an imposing looking man. He was a very muscular, tough looking guy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you have Olga Spetsnova, she's the most famous one. This is people, ballet dancers who've defected, especially, well, it's not the Iron Curtain anymore. It hasn't been that for a long time, but since the Ukraine war, they've jumped ship, and she's the most famous one. So they're losing a lot of the talent to it, a lot of the talent. But as she said, she can't remain there when they're doing this in Ukraine. So she got out when she could. I don't think they'd stop them leaving. I say it's not the Iron Curtain anymore. I don't think they'd actually stop them, would they? They'd just let them go and they'd say, "Go on, book it up." Because again, they've still got talent there. But they've got lots of talent still there in Russia. So it's whether they'd miss them. It's like we used to go on about Rudolf Nureyev, and he was to us, he was amazing. But actually to Russia, he wasn't all that. He was good, but he wasn't considered outstandingly good like we considered him, because they had their own stars at the time that could do some of them better, actually. And he admitted that. He admits that. He said, "In Russia, I'm not the best." Oh, about that, about Fanny Crabtree. I say I might be imagining it, or making, as you grow up, you start seeing things differently from your childhood. Well, it's only been about 8. So I don't know whether I'm adding to, but I can distinctly remember staring at, glaring at this film and taking her eyes off him. But again, if she did, that didn't automatically mean that he was that way inclined, because I've heard people saying that well, it was whether she actually liked anyone, wasn't it? She had her baseline was she didn't like anyone, did she? Or so they say. I didn't find it nasty. Oh yeah, when she's doing Swan Lake. See, you never forget it. You never forget it. Even now, when I hear music from different ballets, I can see all the moves in my head. And that's the thing when you've actually studied it and done it. You can't listen to music without seeing the movement. I can't never listen to music with, no matter what music it is, actually, when I think of it. If I hear music, I'll always think of it in terms of movement. You're just automatically programmed that when you hear a musical beat, you think movement. Yeah, they do. But you didn't talk about it. But not in your. I'm not saying your results to me, Julie. It's not saying that at all. But you didn't talk about it when I first found out that adults wanted to do things like that to kiddies. Oh, I couldn't believe it. To me, if you were ever in trouble, the first thing you did, or if you're scared, the first thing you did was went to an adult. That was my belief. But forget when it was. Something happened. Some little girl was her life was taken and all that. And I remember catching something my mum said. And I tell you how old I was 14. I can remember that much. I was 14 at the time. And I go, what's up with me? And then she said, she didn't even know, I didn't realise. And she said, look, she said, there's people out there that want to do horrendous things to young children. How innocent we were back then. 14 and I didn't know such people existed. And I'd grown up in the theatre. And this is another thing. I grew up in the theatre and I can only count a couple of instances where I thought there's something off here. One was that I've mentioned this place to you when we were talking a while ago, Jockney. The Oval Theatre. There's a little community theatre called the Oval Theatre around by the Oval cricket thing. Well, I would say this is going back years. Oh, I'd just actually come out of ballet. So it would have been 24. Yeah, 24. So you're talking about going way, way back. And we were in there, and there was this American, like, producer, not a big producer, because he wouldn't have been in that place as big producer. But we were all sitting around this desk, and he started going on about this fella that was working with us, and saying now he used to invite all the young talented boys back to his flat, and there was a space between one door and another. And if they managed to stay in that space, they were safe from him. And I was sitting there and I'm thinking, I don't like the sound of this. And I know that he was a man by this time. The one he was talking about looked awfully uncomfortable. And it's the way they were laughing. And this is what unnerved me. The people around the table, thinking it was funny. And I thought, wait a minute, he's talking about young boys here. And I knew what he was going on about. That really, I thought, no, this is wrong. This is blood. That was a community theatre where you would have got kids coming to and youths coming to as well to put on shows. So it was, and we'll put him back. Oh, do Julie's do. But you know when you hear that, it was wrong and all that, I can never, and I used to say, and I don't know whether it was off. I won't say it now because I think it's off saying what I used to say about why I wasn't picked on, because that doesn't come into it. Your looks don't come into it. But I can never remember it. I haven't. I can only when those twins when I heard people saying things, thought this is off. So I was continually shocked. But by the way people talk now, it's supposed to be certainly wasn't happening at ballet school. And I've heard about this Scottish incident and all that. I never heard any of that. There's no such thing when I was younger. Some of them can, Jockney. It's they can have trouble with the feet when they're actually dancing because it's quite painful for a female dancer to keep on going up on the tops of the toes, or empois, as they call it. I mean, I did a couple of rolls where I had to go up on point, and I must admit, I'm glad that I didn't have to do it all the time because it does hurt somewhat. It does hurt. I can't actually see them. Oh, wait a minute. Where is it? I get it. Yeah, I know what you. So yeah, that's fine. Julie's. Oh, very serious subject, Julie's, about in the theatre people preying on youngsters. I was just saying that I never remember it. I only remember a couple of instances where I heard people saying things that sounded really off to me, and I thought I don't like the sound of that. But I can't remember predatory ballet teachers or anything like that. Unless I was going round in a bleeding haze and didn't notice anything. But I can't remember anyone saying, "Oh, guess what? Such a one's just been coming on to me, kids." You put the link out. There we go. Oh, I thought you could go to the private chat. Sports coach. Now, this is the thing, right? Isn't it? Oh, I was going to say something about that because I know Humble was going on about sports coaches, wasn't he? This is the thing, right? That's shocking. Absolutely shocking when you think of it. You know, this is where people have to sort of tell the boys that if anything like that happens, it's not going to be ashamed to say it. And see, this is the final taboo, that's facing young men. Speak out about it, but is that just because I don't know? It's a complex situation. I mean, I was never in sports or anything like that, but it just shows you, doesn't it, how where it can go on, where you wouldn't expect it to go on actually, and it does. I mean, it's absolutely shocking because you think there that, but again, these boys are under pressure. Anything like that, they reveal it. Are they going to be jeered and mocked? They'd be terrified, wouldn't they? Oh, the Swan, I thought it was very, very good. Don't know whether anyone's seen the Black Swan. Don't watch it if you. The man said on use the term once. Don't watch it if it's if you're expecting a pretty film about a pretty little ballerina. It's very psychologically dark, very dark and disturbing. It's about really paranoia descending. She descends into paranoid, I'd more or less say schizophrenia. She goes into a descent. But definitely one thing is the dancing question, right? No way did she do the dancing in that film. They tried to put her, what's her name again? My brain's terrible now. And she's a brilliant actress as well. Otherwise, I can't remember her bleeding name. Natalie Portman, yeah. Natalie Portman. Yeah, Natalie Portman tried to make out she did the majority of the dancing. No, she didn't. There's no way in a million years someone that hadn't been training from a child and doing it continuously for years and years and years could have pulled off those moves. There's no chance. It's actually quite insulting, as the Body World eventually said. It was insulting for it to even suggest she did that. Because it was say, well, let's find what the one's name was. And I've met this one. Nina, something or other wasn't her name. If I remember rightly, just find out. Let's see. That's one body double. Her name was Nina. What's her name? Can't remember the fucking name. When you look for it, you can't. Well, let's see. Sarah Lane. Well, I got that way up, didn't I? Sarah Lane. Sarah Lane blew the whistle on it, didn't she? And she said, no, she said I did the vast majority. Well, literally all the dancing parts. I mean, it was an insult to turn round and suggest that she'd done it. There's no way. People don't realise just how difficult it is to do ballet. It's not an easy job. Oh, Julie's, I know. I've heard that. I've heard that, Julie's. I know now. Yeah, I have heard that. I can name a few people that aren't out there in the public domain. But there's no point, is there now? But yeah, I know what you're talking about. But she's a brilliant actor. It's a brilliant film. But as I say, it's a tough. You're literally the equivalent of an athlete when you do a. Oh yeah, Julie's, yeah. You're the equivalent of an athlete. It's saying that a top grade athlete or gymnast, say that a top grade gymnast. It's like claiming that over a few month period you could go from not being an athlete, gymnast, champion gymnast, to being a champion gymnast. You're not going to do it. You're not going to be able to do it unless you're training for years and years and years and years. Oh, how's Cookie? Last update I got, he's okay. He's fine. He's still getting on all right. He's just more or less, he gets on with each day as it comes. That's what Cookie's like. But don't know anything about any release dates or anything. I've never read anything about Noel Edmonds. Never. Never. I know though, Julie's. I've heard about a few. Heard about a few. There's actually a couple that's still alive, but you have to wait until they pass on or you get in terrible trouble. And one will shock a lot of people. Shock a lot of people that I heard about. And I was like, what? I think I told people I was talking to her this was before I ever even imagined to ever work with the police, but I was speaking in the theatre to a young man whose father was a CID officer, and this was this would have been the 90s. And he told me a couple of names. So I said, oh my God, so don't you know that? One I could have guessed, but the other one I certainly didn't. And he said one of them that I thought I wouldn't be surprised by it. His father who interviewed him under caution, but they said it was more or less covered up because a lot of MPs would have been revealed if there'd been an investigation into it. And the other one, it will disappoint a lot of people. The other person disappoint, but he's still alive. Oh yeah, Johnny, you get culture here. Yes, you get cultured people here. Big Billy, what's that? Pure culture. Jimmy Smith, pure cultured. Jimmy's always at the ballet and opera. Loves us. He can't get enough of ballet and opera, I'm telling you. Very, very cultured, a lot of them. But yeah, any quick questions before the go, or anyone want to talk about something? Oh, what have I done? What have I done? Hate that when I hit the keyboard and something. Yeah, you're very cultured, Bill. We can all see that. Totally cultured. We can tell that you like cucumber sandwiches with the crust cut off, with Earl Grey tea served in a china cup with a saucer. You know. Oh, the Elvis tribute. Do you know, I could never get in. That's because my mum didn't like Elvis as a singer, and I could never get into. Pity, because some of his stuff was good. Who was the best artist I worked with? Oh, there are a couple. There are a couple of. I'd say more. I wouldn't say great artists, but it's the people who make the biggest impression on you or surprise you? Or I tell you, Yuriev, he was, though it didn't actually work with him as such, and knew him and met him in when I was a student dancing. And one thing that was amazing about him, if anyone had any problems, like you'll always have some move you can never quite get right, or some technique you can't get, you struggle with. And he had this uncanny ability to be able to just get the person and say, right, do it like this. Simple correction he'd put you through, and that would be it. Because one, I used to always absolutely be wetting myself on multiple pirouetting. If you talk about wetting, where you're going round and round and you're bringing your foot up again, you're waking, you're supporting foot up. I could do them spinning round, but when it's a continuous, let's say 4 or 5, 6 spins, and you stay up on every point, I was always terrified doing them because I used to always feel like I was going to go off center. And all that he did was that she came up to me and said, right, put your hip this way. And he just literally made a slight adjustment to where my hip was. And I thought my hips were perfectly level. Well, they were actually, and that was the problem. It wasn't working for me having my hips perfectly level, because that's what you told your hips have to be level all the time. And but he made the slight adjustment. It wasn't like that. It was I never going to have no problem with them again, but I could do them much easier. It didn't panic me so much when I had to do them. And see who else? Oh, Kira Nijinsky. Mentioned her before, Kira Nijinsky. That was the daughter of Nijinsky. And 17 I was. And I was given a great opportunity. It was like a festival that was going on. And me and 2 other dancers worked with her to put on a performance centered around her father, Nijinsky. And that was absolutely mind blowing. Because if you saw Kira Nijinsky, you'd think she was totally oddball. Had, like a lot of amazing people, totally oddball character. But that mind, when she'd start, and she was a little dumpy thing as well, and you think, how the hell did that ever do dancing, or how did she ever manage to do it? Because she was a little dumpy woman, I say. But my God, some people just have a gift. She had a gift. She just show you with her arms, show you with the way she moved, and you think, how could someone of that build actually be able to show you properly? But somehow you just took it off her, and everything flowed. Everything. She had a natural ability to make every movement, the port de bras, they call them, arms, especially arms and neck movements, head movements. She'd make them flow in a way that, see, she could remember the days of Fokine and people like that who changed the rules of ballet, because before then ballet had been very strict with the arm movements, and he sort of broke those rules and made the arms more fluid and reaching out, which we've progressed with now. So she could remember that, but because she could remember seeing that as a new thing, it was revolutionary in ballet. She could show you how it was originally done, and it was amazing. So that has always stuck in my mind. But she was an extremely fascinating character, and what a life she had. So her father, who was the biggest star in ballet ever, being sectioned when she was a child, being dragged away and put into an asylum. And he never got out of that asylum. That's schizophrenia. One of the greatest dancers ever. So anyway, I've been going on for over an hour. Let's see, I'll just read. All there is when I'm talking about geniuses in the theatre, people are talking about bleeding tea bags. Did you start that, Julius? I bet you did, didn't you? Oh no, I did actually about what I said about Jim Smith, didn't I? Or was it Billy? No, it was Billy I said about, didn't I? Yeah, Billy, Billy boy said about him. Oh yeah, it was a tragedy. But you see, it was like what was said about if he was. Someone said once about Nijinsky. It said if he'd been around today, I think it was Margot Fontaine said about him. Said if he'd been around in the 70s or whatever, when there was ballet companies all over the world, he would have had jobs. But when he was kicked out of the Ballet Rouge because he dared to fall in love and get married, there was nowhere for him to go. There were no ballet companies in Europe then or in America. It was only Russia. It's only because of Russia we still have ballet today because it had absolutely reduced to a mess in Paris. There was no Royal Ballet. There was nothing back then. So we had nowhere to go. And you can imagine all that pent up talent and genius. And he couldn't express, he had nowhere to express it. So I reckon that's what tipped him over the edge. But people have said he was showing signs of mental illness. And it's mental illness that made his works genius when you think back to it. But he was showing signs of it before he was kicked out of Ballet Rouge because he was working on a ballet. And if I remember rightly, it was Till and Spiegel, something like that, that he was working on. And they said they were starting to see signs because anyone, I'll go on quickly before that. Oh well, he was the lover of the person who ran Ballet Rouge, so he didn't want him getting married, did he, to a woman? But what happened to him was he was the one that really broke the mold for ballet, totally broke it. He came out with a few ballets. Le Presme de Enfant, the Afternoon of the Faun, which scandalized people because he was trying to mimic Greek pottery and do movements that were totally alien. No one had seen it like it before. But he simulated masturbation over a scarf at the end. And that sort of caused a bit of shock horror in the early 1900s. You would talk about 1909, something like that, 1909. Can you imagine doing that on the stage, 1909? That's the one, if you ever see Freddie Mercury's I Want to Break Free, where he's dressed up in the leotard with the little horns. That's him copying Nijinsky in La Presse Midi d'Enfant or The Afternoon of the Faun. And then he went on to make his most spectacular one that's still remembered today, The Rites of Spring, which you'll see if you put in The Rites of Spring and watch the Mariinsky Theatre doing it. That's absolutely mind blowing, that. And it totally, I say, broke the. But they reckon that's when you start seeing the mental illness coming into it. And also his brother, someone came up with a fascinating theory about him. If you look at The Rites of Spring, you'll see they're all holding their hands in the cusp, like they're holding something. Notice if you're holding a racket or whatever, or holding a stick. No stick there, but that's everything's turned in. Let's put it that way. The feet are turned in. Don't forget, ballet dancers have to turn their legs out, spend years doing training to do that. But suddenly they're turned in and crouched over and doing these really jerky. It looks easy, but it's extremely difficult movements they're doing. And everything was designed to look, for want of another word, ugly and contorted. His brother had a condition, and I can't remember what the condition was, where people sort of like jerk and the hands are curled over, the fingers are curled over, and they do jerky movements with this condition. I reckon that's where he got the idea from. So literally, he got a disability, says disability, and turned it into an art form that changed dance forever. Completely, no one had seen. There was a riot. It was considered that scandalous at the time, and a riot broke out at the theatre the audience started rising. But again, Stravinsky's music didn't help, because if you hear Stravinsky's music, especially for that time, it was totally beyond what anyone had ever heard before. No melody, but just what's that? So you can imagine going back to, I think it was 1912 that was performed. So just imagine being 1912 when people used to see little pretty ballerinas in tutus going up on point and all looking pretty and delicate, and suddenly they're contorting themselves and at one point going into having fits, like epileptic fits they start taking when the sage walks on the stage. So you can imagine the horror of that. Oh my God. And the star ballerina standing in what looks like a nightie. That's what it looks like, a nightie, with the knees stuck in them for the majority of her dance at the end. She says she's standing there just staring out at the audience as people are walking around her. He just broke every rule in the book. He did. He was amazing, man. But yeah, pity that he didn't have somewhere else to go, because God knows what else he would have produced. He was producing some absolutely groundbreaking stuff that no one had ever thought possible at the time. But anyway, my lovelies, what I'll do, it's I'll close her up now, and then next, let's see, it's Sunday, it'll be Tuesday, and hopefully someone build up the courage to come on and have a little chatty wassy with me. Do you think we should force Julie's Cindy to come up and give us an account of her day out? We should suddenly force Cindy on and give us a rundown of her day out and what she got up to. Oh, thank you, T-Gun. I think I bore people to death. I do want to go on about it, living the old memories. But you'll all start doing that as you get out. You start, oh, I remember this. What's spooky about it is when you're talking about someone, and I've done this, and you hear younger generations, and it's like that, oh, and it's like a legend to them. And you think these people are mystical legends, like Margot Fontaine, Rudolf Nureyev, Kira Nijinsky. They're all legends to these people. And it's like, wait a minute, I met these people and actually spoke to them. And you'd think that they were talking about, Cleopatra or someone from the past like that. Strange, very, very strange. But they'll have their people that they're meeting now that they take for granted. That in a future day, people will be gasping and their jaws dropping open. You actually met that person. So they'll have their own legends that the younger generation will be absolutely fascinated by hearing about. Anyway, so my darlings, oh, you'll be in Blackpool. Well, at least you've reported in, not like Julie's did. I mean, really. Did you notice that, Kelsey? Not a word of, and may I have permission to take leave because my neighbours come unexpectedly. But I won't go on about it, Julie's. I won't go on about it. But anyway, you enjoy yourself, Kelsey. This is the weather to go in, isn't it? You don't want to be in bleeding Blackpool when it's rainy or cold. It's horrible, isn't it, when it's not the summer up there, very damp. I will do. I'll get your release papers on to you. Anyway, so me darlings, thank you for joining in. Thank you, Jockney. Thank you, T. Thank you, Kelsey Cat. Thank you, Big Billy. Thank you, everyone, darlings. Thank you. I don't want to know what she's getting up to. I don't want to know what she's getting up to at the moment. But anyway, darlings, thank you for joining me. Until next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Ma, darling. Bye-bye. Until next time. Bye. Bye.